So good. Hey, good people. Welcome to another video. It's your girl Alex here. I hope you're doing well. Real quick, y'all. So my sinuses, allergies, all of it is acting up. So I apologize. My voice is a little raspy, but I have a video for you and I'm answering all of the print on demand questions that you guys have when it comes to the videos that I post. I wanted to make sure that you guys have a really good understanding, okay? I'll try my best to also include visuals because I know you guys are like me, okay? We need to see the visuals to really understand it. So I'm going to go ahead and dive into some questions. A lot of the questions were common, so I hope that one question or one answer can tackle a lot of things for you. And so yeah, let me go ahead and get this started. I have my phone, so I'll be reading the comments from like my YouTube channel, a few of the comments in my emails and things like that. So let's go ahead and just get started with this print on demand Q&A, so that way you feel really confident with starting your own print on demand business for 2024, the near future, honey, all that good stuff. So let's jump right in. Okay, so I want to tackle one of the most common questions I get asked when it comes to print on demand, and that's really like the shipping and pricing. So thank you guys so much for asking these questions because, you know, you got to understand it some way, right? So I really hope that by the end of this video, you understand it. And if you do, please let me know by commenting so that way I know that this is helpful for you, okay? So the first question is basically, can I talk about pricing that includes Printify store and credit card fees? So when it comes to print on demand, you will need a method of payment on your own to process the orders on Printify, okay? So I'm going to be using Etsy and Printify as an example just because that's what I personally use, and I want to give you guys just the most accurate information from what I currently use, okay? So I use Etsy, which you guys know I sell on Etsy. That's the marketplace. And then I use Printify to process my orders. That's my provider for everything that I sell on Etsy. So when a customer places an order, they're going to place that order on Etsy, okay? So when a customer places that order through Etsy, you're going to see that, okay, in the back end of Etsy. But then what also happens is that you're going to also see that order pop up in Printify. Now, here's where it separates, and I think this is where sometimes a lot of confusion comes from. When that person buys from Etsy, you see that, right? And that money is collected on Etsy, and that pretty much just adds to your revenue. Well, on the flip side, in Printify, there's also going to be where you have to actually pay, you being the seller, right? You actually have to pay for that order to be processed, okay? So basically, a person will see your product on Etsy and they buy it on Etsy. On the back end, you're paying Printify to process that order to your customer. So when it comes to needing money for this business model, you will need some type of method of payment. You will need to pay, physically pay for Printify to process your order. I recommend that you have about $200 to $300 put aside in a business account or some type of account that's strictly for Printify, okay? So what happens is, just to continue this process, the customer, they place the order on Etsy, okay? Printify gets that order, and now you pay Printify the cost of that product as well as the shipping fee to process that order. When it's all laid out, you're gonna have this screen, which I'll try to show you guys in this particular part of the video, of what that's going to look like, and then you'll have your total of what you owe Printify, okay? So let's just say Printify charges you $10 for a shirt plus $5 for shipping, plus and minus the fees, which is like $1.30, okay? So that means you'll pay Printify $16.30. That amount is going to come off of that method of payment that you added to your Printify account, okay? And then boom, they process that order for you and they ship it to your customer. Well, the thing is, on Etsy, that money that the buyer has paid is going to be in your Etsy account. And whenever you set up like your payout for Etsy, that's what goes into whatever bank account that you are using. What I do, I use the same account, okay? Because I want it to be cyclical. So the same bank account, which I have a business bank account, and I highly recommend you do, just for everything to be set up professionally. But what I do is that I use my business bank account to receive the funds on Etsy and to pay Printify, okay? Because it's kind of like, as I'm getting paid out on Etsy, that's just money that's going to keep fueling my Printify store, okay? So I really hope that helps break it down. Now, when it comes to Etsy fees, this is something that's going to vary depending on the state that you live in, but Etsy is going to charge you for selling on their marketplace, okay? So just to sum it all up, when it comes to selling on Etsy and using Printify, okay, you have to be prepared to have some funds available. Even though I suggest the amount that I suggest, everybody starts at a different pace, okay? So don't feel like you need to have like thousands of dollars, but you cannot start this business with no money, and that leads me to answering question number 2. So the second question is referring back to this video here, which thank you guys so much for the love on this video. But she asked, is the $9 plus shipping part a part of the total charge, or is that added on and paid by the customer? Will the customer pay 26 plus including shipping and things like that? Again, really, really great question, because I just think of Printify in tiers basically. And when it comes to selling, you're gonna have to understand that Printify is not charging the same thing, each item. And so just be mindful when it comes to your profit. I did read though, and I did my research. According to, I believe it was Forbes, or I think it was a Small Business Bureau. I'll leave this article clip here. But they reported that for a small business to be able to receive a profit margin 40% or above, that means that you're doing really, really well. Now, Printify will default their prices according to what they think is going to be profitable, but you do not have to, abide by those. You stick to a price that feels good for you, that feels really secure for you to grow your business. So if they're charging $15 for, let's just say, a medium white sweatshirt, okay, plus whatever the shipping, let's just say it's $6. So what I do is to offer free shipping for my customers. I just group all that together, okay? So on the Etsy side, I'll price that sweatshirt like $21 plus just to feel like I know that I'm getting that profit, and also just to take off that shipping that I have to pay anyway, if that makes sense. So I will always recommend that if you want to charge free shipping, which a lot of customers are going to lean towards that. I've had customers pay $30 for something knowing that the shipping is free, okay? So I say all that to say, if you do want to group Printify's shipping price in what they're charging you, then do that. There is nothing wrong with that. There's no law against that. It's not wrong to do that, okay? You have to sustain your business, friends. So I would recommend, if you are at the stage where you're thinking about what a price point is that's good for your business, I would recommend that you include the shipping price into the retail price that Printify is charging you. And so that way, on the Etsy side, your customers know what they're paying and you're receiving a bigger profit, okay? That's really what it is. It's kind of like a numbers game. You have to understand your numbers. So that's something that if you're in the beginning stages, would highly recommend that, you take care of. Depending on the state of your store, another caveat to all of this too is that when you are a new seller, Etsy is going to place a payment reserve on your account as you're getting orders. And this is just to cover yourself and to cover Etsy. So this is just the policies that they put in place for all sellers. I got put on the payment reserve. A lot of sellers get put on payment reserves, okay? So don't feel like they're trying to attack you or singling you out. It's really all for the sake of the safety of people buying and you selling on Etsy. So I say all that to say, when it comes to being a new seller on Etsy, Etsy may place a payment reserve on your account. So what that looks like is that when someone buys from you, Etsy is going to reserve 30% of those funds until you ship that order off, okay? So they'll release those funds, but until you ship that order or Printify ships that order and the customer receives a tracking number, basically about 30% of your funds are held and they're just reserved, okay? So that's basically what that means. But I wanted to mention this since we're talking about pricing, shipping, and processing, all that. That is really just grouped with this conversation because a lot of people may not know this. So you want to start selling on Etsy, and I want you to start, but I want you to know everything that you need to know. And 9 times out of 10, unless they change policy, you are going to be placed on a payment reserve, and that lasts for 90 days, okay? So what that means is I would highly recommend that as you're getting orders, through Etsy and Printify, you are processing those orders as soon as you can. Because the thing is, Printify only works as fast as you do, my friend. So let's just say today, as I'm filming this, it's Thursday. Let's just say I get an order in on Thursday, but I don't fulfill it until next Tuesday, okay? So that's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. That's 5 days that I'm letting just sit before I process my order, which means means Printify is going to only wait on me. So what I want you to understand is that Printify only works as fast as you do. So I would always recommend, again, having those funds available, because as soon as those orders are piling up on you, you want to get them out to Printify, because again, they work as fast as you do. And so the faster you process your orders, the faster, more chances it's going to get to your customer. And then they're going to provide you with that shipping number. And then those funds and that payment account reserve are going to be available. Okay. So hopefully all of this makes sense. If it doesn't, please, you guys keep leaving the comments so I can keep breaking this down for you. And again, I'll do my best to leave visuals, but I wanted to take care of like the payment fees, all of that, because that's super important for you to know early on. And I want you to be really successful with this. So that's really what all it takes when it comes to like the payment and the financials. Okay. So knowing that you're going to have money available, number one, you're going to have to be in a position to process orders, fast, immediately. I would recommend not letting 48 hours pass before you processing an order. Okay. Because the longer you wait, the longer it gets to your customer. And that's just not going to work out, because you just don't want that long wait time, right? Like, it's already going to be a process because someone else is processing your order, but you don't want to be the cause of that. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully y'all picking up what I'm putting down, but that's just what it is, right? That's just the realest I can say it. You don't want to be the person that's holding up your customer getting their product. So just keep in mind, you got to have some funds available to process the orders through Printify so they can get your orders out to your customers in a reasonable time. So this next part, I'm going to talk about like mock-ups and things like that. So when it comes to mock-ups, personally, I always say try to find the most realistic mock-ups that you can. Now, this is where I also feel like it's a little subjective, okay? Listen, everybody does things differently, but if you're here and you're enjoying this video so far, then I hope that you do take heart to what I'm saying. So when it comes to finding mock-ups on, for Etsy to sell on Etsy, I would say use the most realistic mock-ups that you can. I personally have steered away, and I've never used anything that looks like it's like AI formed, because I'm just honestly not trying to tap into anything that can get my shop taken down. So case in point, someone asks, is it okay to use Creative Fabrica or any other mock-up site and not the ones that are supplied with Printify? Absolutely. Absolutely. So without a doubt, I would say when it comes to finding your mock-ups, this is where you can be super creative and just bring your product to life as much as you can. People shop with their eyes, so just be sure when it comes to your mock-ups to use the most realistic variations that you possibly can. I'll insert an example right here of a mock-up that I use for mugs, something that is super realistic. So to answer this question, you can use Creative Fabrica. So if you're paying for that, use all of those resources, y'all. Okay, I want you to know that they have mock-ups on there for you that you can use for print on demand, okay? And they're for commercial use, which means that you can use them in the sake of selling something, okay? So don't be afraid to utilize those mock-ups on Creative Fabrica. I know that Placeit is still around. I personally don't use Placeit as much, but I would never steer you away from it because Placeit has so many really good mock-ups. So you don't have to use mock-ups on Printify. Honestly, only if you want to, right? But in case you want to step it up a notch, right, and find some more professional mock-ups, Creative Fabrica, Canva, because Canva has some mock-ups as well. You can even use Etsy. There's so many mock-up sellers on Etsy. Honestly, that just needs to be a whole video in itself, because people are really bringing in really good income from being like mock-up sellers on Etsy. So I say all that to say, yes, you can use Creative Fabrica, you can use Canva, you can use Placeit, you can buy mock-ups from Etsy. You have so many options outside of Printify for those mock-ups. Okay, so let's get into the quality of products and testing out your products before you actually sell something, because this is pretty common as well. So someone asked me, what is the quality of clothing like from Printify? Well, my friend, this is going to be something that you have to test out yourself. Typically, when it comes to Printify, they have like a rating on the side of the provider, and it pretty much is a ranking of how well their products are. So I would honestly recommend go through, once you figure out what you want to sell, whether it's like a product niche, let's just say you want to do like shirts, because I know when it comes to apparel, that's going to be something that you want to make sure is A1, because you want more softer fabrics, not more like stiff and like itchy fabrics. So when it comes to the mock-ups and testing them, I would just say create a budget, right? test out at least 2 to 3 samples, because you can order samples from Printify, and that way you can get a feel. Me being me, I would never sell something that I would not use myself. So please buy samples, okay? Especially if you are selling apparel. Don't be afraid to buy a sweatshirt, right? Figure it out, wash it, know how much it's going to last, because that can be how you sell and market your product. So to answer that question, I don't think that it's up to me to detect that quality, because I know the quality from years of doing this, what things feel like. So I kind of have that idea of what I'm already going to provide for my customers. But if you're getting started and you're brand new, then I would definitely recommend that you buy some samples, okay? And you test it out for yourself, so that way you have that security of knowing, like, okay, this is gonna be a good product. She's not gonna get nothing cheap. Okay, this not gonna break when she wash it, all that good stuff. So please buy samples. It's going to save you a lot in the long run. Okay, so the last question I'm gonna answer is pretty much asking, what do I mean when I say listing? So good question, because I know sometimes if you don't know verbiage, you just may not know what someone means. So a listing is the product that you're selling, right? So literally you are creating a design, you put it on the product in Printify, and then you list that to sell on Etsy. So you can look at this as a synonym for product, but a listing is just pretty much how you're marketing your product on Etsy. That's what you see when you're scrolling on Etsy. That's the thumbnail that you see when you want to buy something, or if you're just, performing product research. So the listing is what you're selling. So I hope that makes sense. Okay, it's all about how you're marketing your product, but that's what a listing is when it comes to selling on Etsy. All right, good people, that's it for today's video when it comes to answering your most commonly asked questions when it comes to print on demand. I really hope this helped you guys. Please let me know if it went over your head. Trust me, this is a safe space. I want you to understand this. So if you have any more questions, please leave them down below. I'll try to make this a series too. If you guys really like this style of video, let me know by liking it. As always, thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you're liking the vibe, and I'm gonna catch you in my next video. Bye, y'all.